This is the Crowdcrux Crowdfunding Podcast with Sal Brigman, where we cover everything you need to know to launch a successful crowdfunding campaign. We speak with proven entrepreneurs who've raised money from the crowd and want to teach you how to do the same. Stay tuned because we're about to reveal how to launch your dream project. With your host, Sal Brigman.
Before we get started with this podcast episode, I want to take a second to introduce you to my friends at Fulfillrite. If you need help shipping out your Kickstarter or Indiegogo perks or rewards, Fulfillrite is the absolute best company for you. I've been working with them for a while and I can vouch for their services. They make it dead simple and take all of the headache out of shipping out all of those boxes, all of those orders to your backers and your customers. If you want to check them out, go to fulfillrite.com at fulfillrite.com. What up, crowdfunders? Salvador Brigman here, the host of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Hope you're having a great start to your day. Hope you're having a great week. And if you haven't already, take a second to go back into the archives of this podcast and check out some of the other interviews I've conducted. I've conducted a ton of interviews over the years. I think now we're at over 170 episodes that I've put out. So this is just a wealth of information. It's almost information overload. But the thing that I love most about these interviews is getting to know people, entrepreneurs out there that are actually making a change in the world. And today's episode is no different. Not only are you going to learn about strategies that were used to raise over $1 million on Kickstarter with 3 different campaigns, but we're also going to learn the story of how a young team can literally straight out of college build a company that's all based around their friends, that they're really scratching their own itch, and they're able to be successful on Kickstarter. Their last project raised $800,000. Previously they have other projects which have raised over $700,000, over $400,000. They've really nailed down a formula that works for them. And they've also built a company and a lifestyle that they love. They're working with all of their friends at work. It's a really cool environment from what I hear. And I want you to sort of take away from this, number one, the fact that you can only do so much by yourself. I think with this episode, you're going to see that teamwork is actually what contributes to an overall success, whether it's with crowdfunding or with traditional business. You need a team of people around you if you want to do something beyond yourself. This is also something that I particularly struggle with. I think I can do everything, jack of all trades, but no, I've learned, particularly in the last 2 years, that I need to be focusing on the things that I'm good at and then bring on team members to help with the things that I'm not so good at. This is a lesson that I'm still taking to heart. In addition, with this podcast episode, I try to have on guests who come from a variety of different backgrounds and places and age groups. And in particular, this is, I think, an example of how young people today can launch something into the world and can see success at a very early age. The gatekeepers are no more, you guys. There are no more gatekeepers that are holding you back from launching. As you'll see, you can raise money privately, you can raise money on Kickstarter. It is super simple and super easy. Well, I guess I wouldn't say easy. It's super simple to actually jump into online business and actually try things out and see what happens. The key here being that you have to solve a problem of some sort and you have to create a product that resonates with customers. So I'm looking forward to sharing this interview with you. Before we get into that, if you have not already joined my free course, which will get you up to speed on how to get backers, how to get traffic, and also how to boost your funding meter, you can go to crowdcrux.com/PR. That is crowdcrux.com/PR. And I also share with you how to get in the media and take advantage of media attention so you can get even more traffic, more funding, and build your credibility. Without further ado, let's get into today's podcast episode. Eddie, welcome to the podcast. Been really looking forward to talking with you. You've had a lot of different successes on Kickstarter, also planning for a new project. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sal. It's definitely been quite a learning experience. We've been doing this since 2015. This is our fourth project now, so we're really looking forward to it.
That's insane. You've had some massive success.
It surprises us sometimes that each time we do it, we're always really nervous and we don't know how it's going to go. And thankfully, each campaign has been bigger than the last. And a lot of it has to do with, it being crowdfunding, and people who want to support you, they come back after you have, one product. So the platform and the community has really been great for us.
So you've built a brand then around Poto Labs. So it started out with Poto, the first stick and shoot camera that raised about $400,000, went on to your sequel, which ended up raising a little over $700,000. And then the last one, just here to give some context, the Jack, which is also by you guys, Poto Labs, funded in 3 hours, and you raised $800,000.
Yeah. So I guess we're under pressure for the latest one, but
I don't mean to put pressure on you, but
yeah,
you're a veteran by now, man.
We definitely put pressure on ourselves, but yeah, I mean, I think it definitely helps also that crowdfunding is a place where trust is of the utmost importance. Once you can deliver a product once or twice or 3 times, definitely helps a lot, and also you build a relationship with the platform itself, which is very important.
So I want to get into, all the different strategies you've been using and the lessons you've had, and also, of course, the new product that you're planning on launching. But before we do that, I just kind of wanted to get to know you a bit more. I mean, you've launched this company kind of out of thin air, it seems, and you have a lot of really beautiful products. Can you give some backstory here? Maybe why you're just so passionate about these design products, or why you even launched the company in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it sounds simple, but the secret to, I think, making the products cool is that we really design these products for ourselves the way we really think the product should be. I mean, we don't have a team of market researchers who are we need to make this sacrifice because we think it'll resonate with this age group. We're no, this makes sense for the product. It should be this way. Maybe it'd be more expensive to make. Maybe it's more complicated to program. But we really create these things for ourselves. And if you see what kind of products they are, it's a camera, it's like a headphone adapter, and now we're making a Bluetooth speaker. This company was created by 3 friends who, we were at UC Berkeley together. We were just graduating. We didn't know what we wanted to do. And actually, the first Poto camera came about because the 3 of us would hang out. I tend to be the one who takes the pictures, so I'm never in the photos of us 3. So we developed this camera. We're hey, why don't we make a camera, or we wish there was a camera that could just stick on the wall and take photos for us. So that's kind of how that started. So
this is literally after you graduated.
Yeah. Jay, our third co-founder, had not even, our CEO, he had not even graduated yet.
Oh, man. Wow.
So, yeah, it was his senior year. So I guess ours is the story of, anyone with a dream can do it. And obviously crowdfunding was a huge part of that.
That's incredible, because literally the level, I think, in the attention to detail that you have with the products. I was expecting to speak with someone who's 45 years old, has a history of creating all of these products and a big history in getting things manufactured, but you launched this right after college.
I think we had the unique advantage of, as being, millennials, I guess the term is, we were entrenched with smartphones, with the photo sharing platforms, with this technology from the moment, from its birth as a consumer. So I believe we're equally qualified as any, like you said, 45-year-old veteran of the industry who is trying to design an app, or is trying to design a Bluetooth camera or something like that. So I think we have a deep insight from the user perspective, and that's why, maybe if I'm designing some medical device I don't know anything about, it would be very hard. But knowing something that we intimately want ourselves makes it pretty easy, I think.
I actually really know what you're talking about because, I'm pretty young myself. I just turned 26. And whenever I first got started with crowdfunding in 2012, I would always get really strange looks. Like there's this young guy like doing something like starting companies, like et cetera, all interested in that. And it's just, I think, something that's growing as a trend. More and more young people are able to get their ideas out there. And also, like, you can just launch on the platform and see how it does. There's no gateway, no gatekeeper.
Exactly, and that's a blessing and a curse because now being a semi-veteran of 4 or 5 years, I see companies launching and they're like, yeah, we're going to deliver, in this timeline on this budget, and you just know, like, I'm just sitting here looking at this campaign like these backers don't know what they're getting into. I mean, we've had delays as well. I mean, of course, you want to be optimistic with your schedule, and you kind of put something. It's like, oh, if nothing ever goes wrong, something goes wrong. It's just a matter of how you deal with it, whether it takes 1 month more or 8 months more. Definitely launching the product is easy. Fulfilling it is just as hard as ever.
Mm-hmm. So you had a few different things you sort of had to get together here. And looking at your very first project, for it being your first campaign, it is super well done. Like you have a lot of really high-res images, a lot of good copywriting, really good video. How'd you get all of that together? Like, were you drawing on friends to help, or do your co-founders, do video, or how did you actually get it together?
So I think our team is very balanced, and we have very strong equal strengths in different areas. So that lets us focus, laser focus on what we're doing. So I was mostly in charge of that campaign, and the video. I mean, I guess I don't really know how to describe it other than I wrote the script. I kind of had a really good sense for the product. I guess as a creator, you know your product the best, right? You know what message you're trying to get out the best. So I think a creator should have a very heavy hand in the messaging and the video. It's not something you want to just farm out and let someone else handle 100%. As far as the page, the assets, all that kind of stuff, I mean, we did have help from we were part of a hardware incubator at the time in San Francisco called Highway 1. So they gave us some guidance, but really, we just looked at a lot of other campaigns that are successful. I mean, that's something you should still do to this day. Just like if you see something working, copy it, build on it. And it's just really important to truly understand what your objective for each section of your page is, not just put stuff out there because it's pretty or you just end up having word salad on your page. Like everything has to be really focused.
Looking at your project, particularly the first one, I just want to get your thoughts here because you're sort of entering as a beginner. You got on a ton of different media publications, The Next Web, TechCrunch. Looking here, just a ton. So did this just kind of blow up like you didn't expect it, or did you put a lot also into the pre-launch for this one?
It blew up a little bit more than we expected, and
a little bit is an understatement.
Yeah. We were super happy, I think, but I did have a sense that media would want to write about it because, one, we packaged it in a way that was very easy for them to resell. We said, at the time, it was 2014-15, selfie sticks were a rage. When we were developing this camera, Instagram had just launched on iOS, and we knew that this was the trend. And obviously, we were making it because it was part of the trend. We wanted it. So making it easy for media to repackage and sell to people as the selfie stick killer or the selfie stick replacement. We knew that was something in a demographic that was also very shareable. So people were sharing on Facebook a lot. So we not only had to really focus on our product, we had to really think what's the bigger picture, what's the bigger consumer landscape that we can package this product to fit, macro trends.
That's really smart. That's also just really good insight. I think it took me just a while to even learn these different things like PR outreach and marketing to be able to look into the psychology of the consumer that early on. That's pretty amazing. So how then did the second campaign, how did that product differ from the first one?
So being it the first one was our first hardware product ever, and the second one, was basically we learned from all of our mistakes. It was just better in every way. It was cheaper to make, so we can sell it for much less. And the difference though for that campaign was it was a rehash, not a whole new concept. So press, we had to take a really different angle for press. Like, it's not as new. How do we get someone to write about it again? We focused on big, like, easy to latch on to comparisons, because obviously they're going to compare it to our first. So this is 2 times the quality, or like this is larger pixels than even an iPhone 6, or give them really concrete things again. That campaign was interesting because we prepared for that in maybe 4 weeks. And you can see that because we don't really have a video for that one.
Mm-hmm. Looking here too at your campaign trajectory. So the first one kind of blew up initially and you raised a bunch of money, and then it kind of sort of petered towards the end. And the second one, it actually looks like it was lagging for a long time at the beginning. And obviously, of course, we have to put this in context. Like, your goal was $50,000 and you quickly surpassed that, so it's like, have to put all of this into context. But like halfway through the campaign though, I'm looking at the KickTrack stats, and it looks like it started to really rapidly grow in momentum, and you almost like tripled the amount you had raised at that point. So what happened in the middle here? Like, did you guys sort of realize like, oh, we're kind of losing momentum, we have to do something, or what happened there?
I don't really remember. I think it was press. I think it was that we launched, like I said, we launched the second one in a really expedited schedule. It was a refresh, so we didn't expect it to be bigger than the first one. But I think we didn't do a lot of pre-campaign work. So you see kind of once the campaign launched and then we're doing press outreach, you can see how it took a little bit of time for them to respond. And then once they did, that's where really the campaign should have started. And to compare that to the first campaign, I remember the reason that it petered off a lot is because back then Kickstarter didn't even integrate Google Analytics. So we weren't running Facebook ads because we were just running them blind. And we were already happy with how much we raised. We had no idea what our return was, so we just kind of, dramatically reduced the budget. So thinking back now, what we could have done back then with the proper analytics, I wish we had that back then.
Yeah, that's something that's going to make sort of decision making just a lot easier. And it's also something where as Kickstarter evolves as a platform, also like the strategies that you can use to get the word out also kind of evolve in that way.
Definitely. The campaign now versus our first one is just completely different worlds, I think.
Okay, and people can they can also purchase that, is that right? Or is that in demand? Oh no, sorry, yeah. I guess I can get that on your website?
For the Poto camera?
Yes.
Yeah, they can find it on our website, potolabs.com. They can also order it on Amazon or find it in stores at Urban Outfitters and Nordstrom.
Cool. Are you part of the Kickstarter collection on Amazon, just out of curiosity?
No, I think we're just on the normal platform.
Okay. So I want to sort of move attention here towards your third project, the most recent one. But before we do that, I did want to get in a sense of, for you personally, I mean, I don't know about you, but in terms of launching a project, getting thousands of people to back it, raising a bunch of money, that's probably not something that you expected, just graduating from college. What has been like the most rewarding part of all of this journey since 2015?
The rewarding part is easily being able to continue the journey with this team and with my close friends, being able to hire more people to join like the Poto Labs family and continue to make products that we really want to exist in the world, basically. And the second most rewarding thing is that
I had to interrupt this podcast episode because I want to introduce you to my friends at The Gadget Flow. Their product discovery platform reaches 22 million people per month. They've helped more than 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns thus far, and they have a social media following of more than 700,000 followers. If you want to gain access to their marketplace and list your own product, you can go to thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today.
We really owe it to the backers. Like, it's such a direct relationship that you have with the customer, where you can hear their positive feedback, their negative feedback. It's not a nameless source of money, and you're not a nameless source of product. You really have this relationship. I think that's like a really special thing for a company.
What was fulfillment like with these projects? Was that something? I mean, you had never shipped out orders to thousands of people before. What was that aspect like?
Definitely a challenge. Manufacturing was a challenge. On the fulfillment side specifically, the hardest part came with the Poto, the sequel, when we ran our campaign. I think it ended in November, and we were shipping by December. So it was like a 2-month turnaround time.
That's really fast.
It was really fast because we were almost done with production by then. But what happened was we shipped our products by the cutoff date that USPS guaranteed, delivery, but it's around Christmas. So they were just like, oh, we don't know what happened. And we submitted all these claims, like we did it by the date you said, but they'll bump off smaller clients for the big ones when it's crunch time for Christmas. I would try to avoid Christmas shipping as much as you can if you're a creator, but that was a huge headache for sure.
One of the things that stands out to me, besides you guys being able to scratch your own itch and kind of create something that you yourself would use, it seems like you're really good at team building. Because that's really how you could only get this far so quickly, is if you have a very strong team. Do you have any thoughts on that? Assembling a team of people, or even as you're building out your team, the values you're sort of looking to instill in the company?
Yeah, and you definitely hit the nail on the head. That's the key to any company's success. It's one of the hardest things to do, and it's something it takes a lot of luck and a lot of, I guess, having a strong feeling for, like you said, what kind of values or what kind of things you want to stress. We stress relationships, being close and trusting each other. So the way it started was our first employee was also at UC Berkeley, and then the next one was his friend. And then, we're hiring friends of friends and things like that. And once you get here, if you come into our office, the culture is very relaxed. I guess everyone trusts each other to be the expert in what they're doing. And that allows everyone to really do the best that they're capable of. And being comfortable and being happy are the keys before you can get any work done.
Would you say that you've grown as a leader, having to take on these major projects and also sort of assemble a team before you've even entered the workforce even?
Yeah, I suppose I definitely have. Oftentimes I don't think of myself as in this hierarchy in the office. Oftentimes we're all young, we're all friends. But yeah, it's definitely, you have to learn how to get things done and introduce maybe some more organization or distinctions in order to make things more efficient.
It's kind of like growing up in a sense that you have to establish those systems, and it's not as fun because it makes things more corporate, but at the same time it helps you be more efficient.
Yeah, we're still 6 people, so it's still fun. It's still loose, but nice. I did hear that once you get to 20 people or 50 people, you do kind of lose that magic startup feel.
Do you think being in Silicon Valley has given you an advantage in a sense, whether it's mindset, whether it's access to resources? Has it given you an advantage?
I think it definitely did. Excuse me, give us confidence being, just feeling like you're in the right place. There are networking events that help. And I don't personally do the fundraising, but I know for Jay, I'm sure it's a great advantage being located here, especially if the investor hears that, you're in Silicon Valley rather than, somewhere in the Midwest where they'll worry about your ability to attract talent.
So I want to talk a bit about this new product that you're launching and also the most recent one, but I just had one other question here. So have you done funding then off of Kickstarter sort of in tandem?
We have. So we did raise a little bit of money before our first Kickstarter campaign and then the rest of it after. But we've been pretty much self-funded since Poto the sequel.
Okay. Has that then helped with raising money, the fact you've done these campaigns?
It's hard because more and more over the years, a lot of people have raised money on campaigns. So the investor money in the hardware space is a lot harder to grab now. I think it was actually easier for us in the very beginning with our potential before crowdfunding was so hot. Now, I think you definitely need a ginormous campaign to fundraise. So I would not rely on it and just
try to self-fund if possible. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
When you were raising money, and I know I keep stressing this, but at such a young age, how are you able to do that? Was it people investing based on the strength of the team? Were they investing based on some of the things you've done in the past and maybe the accomplishments? What was actually causing people to be like, okay, yes, I want to, trust these young kids, this young team with money, and that they're going to give me a good return?
Definitely potential more than established performance in the past, because we didn't have that in the very beginning. We only had ideas and potential, and definitely the team is important. Our first investor actually gave us a check, our very first check we ever got, and he gave it to us and he said, I'm investing in you guys because I like you guys, but you guys need to change your idea. So we were actually going to be a software company before all of this. He handed us this check, and that's when we switched to Poto camera, because we were like, we have no idea what we want to make, but then we're still having this problem every day. Taking these pictures while we're doing this thing. So, that's what happened.
That was a smart decision. What then? So, how much did he fund you for? Obviously, you don't have to say if you don't want to, but any kind of ballpark figures? Just curious.
It was an incubator, so it was the standard, something like $25K, and we joined their program for 10 weeks or something.
So that's what then launched the entire company. You guys sort of pivot a little to the Poto, end up having a massive success on Kickstarter with this other financial raise. Again, if you don't want to, you don't have to get into this, but just curious how much you raised, or give us a ballpark idea.
Including everything, we've raised around $2 million.
Nice. That's really healthy considering you're also, doing these Kickstarter projects and getting backers that way. It seems just like a very healthy system you've set up there.
It does, and I can also tell you that manufacturing takes a lot of money, especially doing it for the first time and making a lot of mistakes. It's very expensive.
Very cool. So I would like to talk about this previous project, which is also now on Indiegogo in demand, from what I understand. So can you tell me a little bit about Jack and what it is? Because this is really different than the other two projects.
Yeah, so Jack is a little Bluetooth adapter that if you plug in your normal headphones into them, it basically turns them into Bluetooth headphones. So what happened was...
That sounds like magic.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's like a relay, basically. So you clip your headphones into it, you put this thing, on your clothes, in your pocket, and that thing has the Bluetooth connection streaming to your phone. So the advantage is, you don't have your head tethered to your phone while you're walking around, and you don't have the wires dangling. You can tuck them under your shirt or in your jacket or whatever. But what happened was the iPhone 7 had come out. There's the big, brouhaha about there's no headphone jack. Everyone's freaking out. And our CTO, Sam, was just like, it'd be really easy for us to just make a little, Bluetooth adapter for all those people who don't have headphone jacks anymore. So we molded over a little bit. We're like, do we want to pivot from being a only camera company? Do we want to make this like little thing? We decided to just go for it. We went from idea to Kickstarter in about 2 months, and prototype in about 2 months. And we just kind of, again, made something that we want ourselves, because I commute on the bus every day and I hate my wires tangling and catching on people. So
it's really annoying. Yeah.
It's really annoying. Yeah. So this is just another example of making it for ourselves.
And also catching on a trend. I think you guys are really good at spotting trends, it seems. This one, though, so I was looking through the project. You've also roped in some other partners here, like GelUp, Funded Today, CrowdReach, some of these other partners. Was that a decision you would make again? Did you find them to be helpful in hitting your goal?
Yeah. So we definitely rely on outside partners. There's a lot of people that will message you and promise you things, and some are seeking to scam you. Some are more effective than others. It definitely comes with experience. It definitely comes with also just asking around. Fellow creators tend to be very helpful. There's a community where we want to help each other and trade tips and everything like that. So yes, it's very important. It's not easy to figure out who to trust and who to use, basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, you started with the $20,000 goal this time. With this project, you raised a little over $800,000 and 16,000 backers. That is a lot of backers.
It was a surprise.
So that fulfillment must have been, that must have been tough.
It's in progress. We're scheduled to ship September, so coming up real soon.
It's also remarkable to me just the speed at which you're launching these. 2 months beforehand or a few weeks beforehand. There's a very big emphasis on speed, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, we don't like to wait.
Yeah. So you're using BackerKit, it looks like, for your fulfillment kind of stuff. I do want to ask you, was there anything that from launching this past project, Jack, that you particularly wanted to impart to the audience? Anything that was different from maybe the other two projects, or any sort of strategies you would recommend?
So, yeah, Jack was, I see Jack as very distinct from the first two Poto campaigns, because, like you said, Jack was when we started really bringing these outside agencies, when we really started to connect. I've been connecting with more other creators and really trading tips that you don't learn from the internet or a book or the Kickstarter FAQs. It's all these sort of like insider things that you gain with experience. Specifics is really hard to name off the top of my head. Just the way you, run your cross promotions, or the way you can even name your URL, and you can, there's all these little tips.
Could you share like one or two of them?
Yeah, let me think.
I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but just hearing that, like, my ears perk up. Insider tips.
So here's a really powerful one. So obviously Facebook sharing is very important, the social reach. So what we did was we incentivized, you have your backers and you keep updating them. You're like, please guys, will you share us? It's hard to, convert people to actually sharing for you. So what we did is we incentivized people by having a sign-up sheet on our page that said, if you share our page on social media, put your email here, put a link to that post, and we'll send you a free accessory. So you're getting something for free. And for us, it was something that we said, the cost of this accessory is worth the cost of this share. The second benefit was that we were able to collect emails before the campaign was over. So now you have access to your customers, where if you want to message them, keep them from dropping out, keep them engaged, you can do that. You also have a super targeted list of people that you can run a lookalike audience on Facebook ads for, because who better to run a lookalike on than someone who actually just put their money in for you?
Yeah, very
right
smart.
Now.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that we did that campaign.
That's a really good tip, and that's definitely something that's definitely more granular. But I know for people out there that are looking for every single type of edge, that could really help them. So thanks for sharing that. I also just want to commend you. You know, looking through your comment section with this past project, you have over 1,400 comments and some really great ones. You know, from people saying like, "I commend you on your transparency and communications, your full disclosure." There's another one I was reading. I've backed at the $1,000 level and care deeply about the quality of your product. Take your time, get it right. Don't feel bad for doing so. You have very supportive backers, and I just want the rest of the listenership to also hear that.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to just be genuine. They're not your adversaries. You know, if you have bad news, if they're critical, they're still your supporters. They're only critical because they really care a lot about what you're doing. So it's really important to, you're going to have bad news. I'm sure like production is really hard. Just be open about it. Let them know what you're doing about it and that you actually care to fix it. You're not sweeping this under the rug. And if you're genuine with people, I'm sure they'll feel it. And that's really the only way.
So you've shared a lot of great information and a lot of great tips, etc. Just from this interview, I can gather that not only do you guys work super hard at your products and make sure that you get them right, but you're also making sure that you solve an actual pain point. You know, this is something that people are going to be proud to have. It's going to help their life in some way. Or it's going to make it so that they don't have that headache of having like tangled earphones. So what's this next product that you've been working on? I'm speaking to the crowdfunders in the audience who have already launched a Kickstarter campaign, or have actually even successfully run a campaign. And the reason is, I think you will understand this pain point most. And that is, when you finally do raise money on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, the hardest part is not collecting the cash. The hardest part is shipping out all of those perks and rewards to your backers. It is a nightmare, my friends. It's a lot of spreadsheets, it's a lot of headache, and it's a lot of stress. That's why I recommend BackerKit. If you have not heard of BackerKit, they help you collect surveys, they help you collect data, and the entire fulfillment process is just so much easier and so many less spreadsheets when you use their software. You can check them out at backerkit.com and use CrowdCrux for a special discount.
Yeah, so the next product, it's called Bell. It's the first portable speaker and Bluetooth hub. So it builds on our Bluetooth sharing technology and jack actually, so it's a Bluetooth speaker where you can connect 6 other Bluetooth speakers, regardless of their brands, to it. So basically you can go to a barbecue, all your friends bring whatever speakers they have, and now you have, with Bell, a connected system of speakers that, are loud enough for the party. Bell is also designed for extremely optimal bass for its size. Like no other speaker can go as low as our speaker for a portable Bluetooth speaker. So you've got volume, you've got bass. It's really the Bluetooth speaker that, the last one that you'll need. Even if you buy more in the future, they'll still be able to sync with Bell. And again, it goes along our philosophy of like bringing people together, and it helps because it's the technology is shared in jack, so there's no technology risk for us here.
You're like basically taking over other people's speakers. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally thousands of speakers on the market. Instead of trying to beat them all, we are focusing on what we're good at, which is, really good bass, really good connectivity. We'll just join the other speakers. We're not trying to beat everybody.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really cool too, because like if you have a party or something like that and you're like, okay, we want to get music going, and you have like all these different speakers that don't, connect with each other, it's going to be just annoying and it's going to be a bad experience for everyone. But if you sort of surpass that, use software to connect them all, it's a lot easier. It's like you don't have to worry about it, or think about it.
Absolutely. It's the first speaker that can do this. It's basically like Sonos, the Wi-Fi speaker system, but for Bluetooth. And personally, so we had this idea actually a while ago because we were buying speakers for the office. And, Bluetooth speakers aren't loud enough to fill an entire room, not enough bass, like I said. But Sonos, you have to buy only their speakers, which can get expensive. you have to use only their music player software, which is really limiting because you can't even like play game like apps on your phone and play the audio through Sonos. So it took 2 years, but eventually we solved our own problem again.
So where can people actually find out about this, or when you guys do launch, if they want, for example, like the early bird tiers, or they want to be the first to back it, where can they go?
So they can definitely search Bell, B-E-L-L-E on Kickstarter. Our easier URL is podolabs.com/Bell. And we have a 48-hour super early bird tier. So only the first 48 hours upon launch, they'll be able to get in excess of 40% off. So, your listeners are in for a treat if they're in early.
Mm-hmm. And when exactly are you launching that?
August 21st at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Awesome. Very cool. I'm really stoked to see how that project does. And also just based on the success of your other projects, some of the new things you do with this one and see kind of how it progresses.
We did what we can. We believe in the community, and we're really we're excited.
Cool. Well, last question I have for you here is if you could speak to other people in the audience who are just starting their project for the first time, who are, maybe like you, and with the first campaign, they're trying to assemble the team, they're trying to get everything right, they have no idea what's in store with the future. What would you say to them, whether it's, a word of encouragement, maybe something you wish you knew yourself then, or something you'd like to pass on?
Yeah, first it's encouragement. I mean, just from my own story, it's not like or anyone really is experienced or a professional at Kickstarter. You learn as you go. So first you have to have the confidence you can do it. 2 is you need to make sure that it starts with your product. You're solving a pain point. You understand what value you're bringing to somebody, and understanding how to create your messaging. And 3rd is the same thing I say to everyone when they ask me this question, is just to ask for help. I mean, there's a lot of resources on the internet. There's also a lot of creators and people who, if you reach out to them, there's no harm in asking, right? Like, ask for a tip. Like, I get a lot of emails, and I try to help as much as I can. And my email is eddie@podolabs.com. It's pretty easy to just Google me and find me, but reach out for help. There's no harm in doing so. And really, this is a game of, experience, I feel like, more than a set of rules. So it's changing really fast. Just pay attention to what other campaigns are doing and reach out to creators that you want to get tips from.
Very well said. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing all those great strategies and information, and I look forward to checking out your new product.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified Podcast. Again, my name is Salvador Brigman, and man, I just thought this was a stellar interview today. Like, it was so cool to me to hear about the story and how young people today can now take advantage of trends that are happening in the media, how young people today can launch a product into the world. There aren't any more gatekeepers. There aren't any more people holding you back. The excuses for not launching a project on Kickstarter or Indiegogo are slowly being diminished. And really the only thing keeping you back is your willingness to take action. At the same time, I'm sure you still have question marks in your mind. You're a little bit probably uncertain when it comes to getting backers and getting traffic for your Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign. And if you are, I invite you to join my free course, which goes into how to get backers, how to get traffic, how to get into the media, and a lot more strategies that I've learned over the years. So if you want to check that out, that's at crowdcrux.com/PR. That is crowdcrux.com/PR. And you're listening to this podcast right now, you're getting information, but at the same time, it's not all in one place. It's kind of scattered. You have to go to different podcast episodes. You have to sort of collect from different blog posts. It would be a lot easier if we can just all go to one place and learn, the exact strategies that you need to implement in order to exceed your fundraising goal on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And that's exactly why I have set up that free training for you guys. So I hope you take advantage of it. If you did, feel free to shoot me an email or shoot me a tweet, shoot me an Instagram message. But I love hearing from you. I love the ratings and reviews you guys leave. Any kind of feedback is always welcome. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, and I'll see you next time.